There is no hope for the Democratic Party. The Senate had another vote on the government shutdown and passing a deal that would end the government shutdown, and 8 Democratic senators voted with the bill, sided with the Republicans, which passed the bill through the Senate and now on to the House, where the bill is not completely through yet. The government shutdown is not guaranteed to be finished yet, but it has a much better likelihood of passing in the House rather than it did in the Senate, where the real lockdown was. And some people are kind of celebrating this because the government shutdown could be ending soon, which is generally a good thing. You want the government to be working so federal workers can get paid again, then go back to work. But in this case, this is one of the few actual cases where the Democratic Party was actually in a good position, and like everything they do, they just completely fucked it up when they were so close to just getting something right for once. And obviously last week, the Democratic Party had a big win throughout the country. There are blue states, places where Democrats usually win, but still, the resistance against Trump was working. Mamdani, this progressive far-left guy winning New York City, where, he was basically unknown a year ago. Spamberger winning governor of Virginia, where, the governor before this, Youngkin, is a Republican, so it flipped. New Jersey, too, another Democratic candidate getting governor. Then California, where we saw the redistricting vote go through very easily as well, showing that people are sick and tired of the Republicans' antics and they want change. But of course, there are only so few progressive candidates in the Democratic Party right now that at least have a platform. Mamdani obviously being one, AOC, Bernie Sanders, 3 of the bigger ones, But a lot of these candidates, which were being force-fed, kind of like Kamala Harris, are pretty centrist. I saw this good tweet where it's like, the centrists, like especially the ones like Abigail Spamberger, basically is like a 2002 Republican in hiding. And if you go back, it is kind of, not everything aligns, but especially with the economy, like very similar Republican traits kind of cross over. It's basically like a Republican, but they don't like hate gay people. And so we had this great election week last week, even though, some of the candidates like Spamberger, I'm not that fond of, I don't think she's the best choice. But at least it's a Democrat. At this point, I'll take a Democrat over any Republican. And of course, the very next week, the Democratic Party just has to ruin it all by ending the shutdown. But why is ending the shutdown a bad thing? Well, the shutdown was finally drawing attention to some people, at least, how poor the Republican Party has been leading this country, has been leading the people they're supposed to represent, how they've been giving nothing back to the people they're supposed to represent. And the Republicans are in power, and whoever's in power, it's not always the case, but whoever's in power, like whoever's president, and you control the Senate and the House of Representatives, if there's a government shutdown, it's going to be blamed on that party. So in this case, it was blamed on the Republican Party. And it was shifting a bit. We saw that last week, the Democratic Party winning so heavily. Even Jay Jones, who basically texted saying, "I'm going to shoot these Republicans," he easily won. Not easily, it was pretty close, but he still won Attorney General in Virginia. The what? Usually a scandal like that would be career ending, but we see with Hillary Clinton in 2016 with the email leak, which is not bad at all, really. And we see this where it's actual kind of credible, even I'm okay, that's a little much. But you still beat the Republican because people are tired of the Republican Party. A week later, they capitulate. 8 Democrats vote with Republicans to pass a bill in the Senate. It's passed. It's looking likely the government shutdown is going to end. And a big thing with the government shutdown, too, it's the longest one in history under Trump, who also had a very long one in his previous tenure. And also, it's coming over a very busy time, Thanksgiving, where we saw recently over the past week where air travel is now severely affected. And Thanksgiving, the airports are going to be super busy, of course. And if a government shutdown's in place then, people are going to be pissed off because they're not getting where they're supposed to be getting, seeing their family, the most important part of their lives. And who would be blamed for that? It would be the Republicans. But most importantly, the bill they're passing, it's not going to help the people the Democratic Party wants to represent. It's not going to make healthcare more affordable. It's going to make healthcare more expensive. When the government does reopen and they vote in this bill in December, the Republicans are not going to vote with the Democrats on this. They're going to vote for their own agenda. They're going to make healthcare more expensive. The affordability in this country is going to go down and down. Prices are going to keep on going up. They held out for all this time because they're doing a good job for a bit to try to get more affordable healthcare and trying to get what we voted for. And in the end, they fell short. And because of the centrists and because of poor leadership, they held out for that long for nothing. There's this good Hakeem Jeffries interview.
What was it? The shutdown worth it?
We have waged a battle on behalf of the American people. First of all, Donald Trump and Republicans are the ones who shut the government down. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the American people know it. And that's been the case for 7 consecutive weeks.
But
How
at the
confident
end of
are
the day,
you
you
on-
didn't get what you want. So was it worth waging this fight?
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
The fight lives on. What fight? This is the problem with the Democratic Party. The fight, is not present. It's not there. There's no fight. They're still trying to bend over backwards for Trump, still trying to negotiate with him. And we've seen that does not work at all, because, Trump's barely even cognizant. And these older centrist Democrats are basically giving up, and they're giving in, while people, we're still, a lot of people are still very adamant against Trump. And so these 8 Democratic senators who voted with the Republicans, and they're all mostly basically centrist, except John Fetterman, who's still a Democrat technically, but at this point he's a full-fledged Republican. I'm not even mad at this point at him, because it's John Fetterman, I don't even count him as a Democrat, so I'm you just do you, man, at this point. You had your traumatic brain injury and you're Republican now. You just do you. Tim Kaine of Virginia, where I'm from, of course, so that was especially disappointing, but what do you expect from a guy who looks like he was struck by lightning? And the thing with Senate, too, is a 6-year thing, so I saw people saying, oh, you're getting primaried next. Tim Kaine, for example, is on the re-election ballot in 2030. 2030. A lot of people are going to forget about this at this point, and they'll be like, oh, he's a Democrat, I'm just going to vote for him. But it's stuck in these divisions of, well, they're blue, I have to vote for him, they're red, I have to vote for you. Even though you don't even really know their policies. Spanberger, very centrist. People like that, people don't like that, whatever. But even the people voting for her, they don't know what she's running on at all. So it's how do you even vote without knowing what you're going for? But it's just these old guard Democrats, Republicans, basically all politicians, they have no real strong values anymore that at least our generation, current Americans, can relate to. Because the economy is so bad and life is so hard now. Even it's not it cannot be physically hard, but just mentally living in this country now and in this world where there seems to be no real hope. We need someone like Mamdani, of course, a progressive who actually inspires people. That's why he connected with so many people, because he was actually saying, we can change things, we can fix things, I will do this for you. Instead of these centrist Democrats saying, well, things are okay right now, we'll keep it going the same way. It's well, obviously that's not working. And these centrist Democrats, they won't ever have to learn that lesson, because people just vote blue. They'll be okay, yeah, I'll vote this, and they have that reputation, so they can easily bypass any progressive Democrat running against them. And these centrist Democrats are so out of touch, they have no idea what the American people even stand for anymore. And it's infuriating, because at least the Republicans, they can at least touch into a certain crowd, the crazy MAGA people, and they know what they're mad about, at least. And they're trans people, okay, we're going to run everything on trans people. And then you see the Democrats, and they're still not even going far left at all. They're still saying very much in the central. And what's something that some Republicans and some Democrats can agree on? But that's not the way to go. We've seen that now. That is not the way you can win an election anymore. Centrism is not going to get you anywhere. And we see with Mamdani that progressives can actually have a chance in this country. Of course, it's New York, so it's going to be a little easier. But you got to test things out. If you never test it out, then how are you going to know if it works? We haven't had a progressive president. I don't even know the last one. Obama, he's not progressive at all. He's just very much centrist. Joe Biden, I don't even know what the fuck Joe Biden actually did. Being completely honest, what did he do? And there's no real change, and nothing's going to get better if these Republicans and centrists are still in power. And of course, this comes to Chuck Schumer, the most evil man in America, the most hated man in America, maybe at this point, hated by Republicans and Democrats alike. 74 years old, will do anything for Israel, but nothing for the American people. At this point, he needs to resign, that's obvious, along with Hakeem Jeffries, who are both clueless. But what does a 74-year-old man know about the troubles of someone my age, a 20-year-old? He knows nothing, because he's so disconnected from that world, how is he, in a way, how can I blame him? How would he even know? He probably doesn't even know what a TikTok is. And even the news, too. I was watching CNN. I never watched CNN or any of that stuff, because it's why would I watch that? I watched Newsmax for a bit on accident, and that was actually kind of funny. And I went on CNN, which I'm isn't this, liberal? But they have, these most, centrist, even Republicans guys on there, the Mamdani election thing. They're also bitter. I'm I thought this was, a left-leaning news company. This is not left at all. Van Jones, of course, who made the dead Palestinian baby joke, and he's still on air. I'm what are you even doing here, it's a problem with the media, it's a problem with the government, it's a problem with basically all these older people. Democrats don't know what they're doing, they never know what they're doing. Chuck Schumer needs to resign. I hate Hakeem Jeffries. I don't like Abigail Spanberger very much either. I don't think she'll do anything of note in Virginia. Viva Mamdani, I guess. I'm not even, I have no connection to New York, but that's, has a mayor race ever been this captivating to a general audience before in America, in the entire world? No. It's, at least in my knowledge, my lifetime, a mayoral race has never been this insanely large, across the entire world. And that's because someone with actual progressive policies that connects with the youth of the world is running, and he won. You know, like if it was Andrew Cuomo versus Chris Silwa, no one would really care. But it's Mamdani, so this guy with actual ideas that is saying that he'll back him up. We'll see, I guess, when he gets elected. But he is very confident about himself, and that connects with people. And he's young, so I think it's time for a change. And if a blue wave is going to come, it's going to be a fresh, clear water blue wave, not a murky sewage, damp, used underwear wave. You know what I'm saying? We need fresh voices. That's why I'm running for president.